panic on this quiet suburban street in the town of Columbus, Indiana.
Emergency 911.
Yes, my name is Tammy Duvall. I live at Crest Drive, and I think my husband is dead.
Tammy Duvall, a 48-year-old nursing assistant, knows her husband Alan is in deep trouble and sounds desperate for help.
You think he's dead?
I think he is.
Okay, hon. Have you checked to see if he has a pulse?
He does not.
After Tammy called 911, police and first responders arrived here to this neighborhood. When they went around back, they found Alan dead on the back porch. This is an actual police photo. Alan Duvall sitting slumped in a lawn chair. Cops first figure Alan died of natural causes, perhaps triggered by the August heat and a drinking problem Tammy mentioned in her 911 call.
What kind of history does he have?
The only thing that I know, we've only been married for 2 years, and the only thing I know is that he uses alcohol. He drinks a lot.
Family and friends are devastated, but still puzzled. How does a happy, vibrant, 62-year-old Alan Duvall suddenly drop dead with no warning?
I loved him. Yes, I did. I still do. Miss him very much. He could make you laugh, and he always had a smile on his face.
Zilla Thompson, Alan's cousin, says it may have been that warm smile that first attracted Tammy. The couple found each other late in life and didn't waste any time enjoying their newfound relationship.
Tammy was active and Alan active. They were just the picture-perfect couple. They were married within 12 weeks of meeting one another.
12 weeks?
That's apparently, it was whirlwind.
But Alan's family was worried about the whirlwind marriage with Tammy from the beginning.
I think Alan's heart was 100% in it. Tammy's, I think she was just out for one thing, money.
Within hours of Alan's death, veteran police detective Mark Crookton heard from friends and family. They were suspicious.
His death prompted phone calls and visits by family and friends to the Columbus Police Department.
One of those calls was from Tammy's ex-husband, Don Engelman. He told police that Tammy and Alan were having financial problems. Police also found out they were recently separated, and Tammy was having an affair with a local insurance salesman.
Well, to me, I knew what she was up to. I mean, she was a very beguiling, shrewd person.
Even Tammy's own daughter sent police an email saying she was very suspicious about Alan's death.
This is the healthiest dead person I think I've ever seen. There is no sign of trauma to the body.
Police receive a piece of information that raises even more suspicion. Tammy wants Alan's body cremated immediately.
She wanted it done that day, and I had to try to stop it somehow.
Detective Crookton agrees to have a closer look at Alan's body.
Contacted the mortuary, told them let's put a stay on the cremation. We're going to do an autopsy.
The detective also goes back and listens to that 911 call one more time.
And we've been living apart, and he came over last night.
Everything about this call just seemed staged.
Police invite Tammy in for an interview, which she readily agrees to. Tammy tells investigators she called 911 immediately after finding Alan dead. But that was a lie. Phone records show she called other people before she called 911.
And it's also a fact that you did not walk in the door at 8:04 and call 911. You were doing something at that house for 14 minutes before you called 911. And we have an eyewitness that puts you there an hour before you called 911.
Then the autopsy and toxicology reports come back from the lab. They show Alan's alcohol levels were sky high. That goes with Tammy's story about Alan's drinking. But here's the real shocker. The reports also show Alan had huge amounts of the muscle relaxant cyclobenzaprine in his body, along with a powerful form of liquid morphine. Wait a minute. Tammy never said anything about Alan having a drug problem.
He has almost 80 times the lethal dose of morphine in his system.
80 times?
80 times.
A healthy 62-year-old Alan Duvall is found dead in his backyard. And detectives in Columbus, Indiana are desperately searching for clues. This official police photo shows Alan slumped in a lawn chair on a hot August day. Initially, there were no signs of foul play, but police are stunned when they receive toxicology reports showing Alan died from consuming huge amounts of the muscle relaxant cyclobenzaprine and a powerful form of liquid morphine.
Could it have been a suicide? Could it have been a homicide? Yes, either one.
Forensics reveal there are no track marks on Alan's arms, and these police photos show there are no pill bottles next to his body. Cops don't believe he took the drugs himself.
I knew at that point that we had a murder.
Suspicion now centers on Alan's wife, Tammy. Tammy tried to get Alan's body cremated fast, less than 24 hours after his death. Then, the big break in the case. Tammy unwittingly gives cops her recipe for murder during this innocent conversation with police.
You were already cooking dinner?
Yeah, I had made chicken salad and cut up fresh fruits and vegetables and had made this cool pudding dessert.
Wait, did she say pudding? No, it couldn't be. Did Tammy Duvall plant the morphine and the pills in the pudding?
So, where's the morphine? Where'd the pill bottle go?
I don't know.
Okay, and you're gonna stick with that?
Yes.
But where in the world would Tammy get muscle relaxants and morphine? Plus, there were no drugs found in her house.
I didn't clean up anything because there wasn't anything for me to clean up.
So where did the morphine come from, Tammy?
I don't know.
Did the morphine fairy come in and put it in his mouth while he was sleeping?
I don't know where the morphine came from.
That turns out to be another lie. Remember, Tammy was a nurse's assistant. Detective Mark Cookton says Tammy stole the muscle relaxants from Alan's cousin, Zilla Thompson.
I would say over 100, maybe 200 of them.
And she lifted the morphine from the nursing home where she worked.
The director of nursing tells me the last day she worked for us, we were really concerned because we had a bottle of morphine sulfate turn up missing.
Rhonda Brown, a nurse and one of the friends Tammy called before dialing 911, vividly remembers a conversation about drugs just weeks before the murder.
She had brought over some pills in an unmarked bottle. And she said, "Do you think that if a person took enough of these pills, it would kill them?" And I'm like, "Well, why? You plan on killing somebody?" Just don't believe anybody's actually gonna do that, you know?
And Tammy emphatically denied she did do that.
No, I did not kill my husband.
Okay, well, what did happen? Because what you're telling me is not the truth.
The truth, police say, is that Tammy poisoned her husband with a massive overdose of morphine and pills. And the proof was literally in the pudding.
Tammy's signature dish was her poison pudding.
But why would Tammy want Alan dead? Remember that insurance guy she was fooling around with? According to investigators, Tammy got him to write up a $100,000 life insurance policy on Alan. It was just 1 month before Alan died, and Tammy was named the sole beneficiary.
And right then, I said, I hope Alan lives for a long time, but I don't think so.
I told him, Alan, nobody takes out $100,000 life insurance on anyone, especially when they're not living with them. There's something up.
Obviously, Tammy was covering up something in hopes of getting this $100,000 insurance policy.
Finally, 3 years after the death of her husband, Tammy was arrested and ultimately faced a trial on charges of murder, insurance fraud, and obstruction of justice. The jury convicted Tammy Duvall on all counts, and she was sentenced to prison for 60 years.
She is a stone cold killer. Plain and simple, she killed her husband, a person who I feel truly loved her, and all she could see was a $100,000 stamp on his forehead.